In this video, I'll be discussing the skill of annotation, and then we'll be practicing it with our first reading selection, Franz Kafka's The Refusal. But let's start with a question. In your own life, day to day, how do you interact with books, social media, games, or television shows? For example, do you write or text or talk to other people or make comments online, or do you interact in some other way? Some people like to yell at their TV screens. You especially see this with sports fans. Dad, I'm looking at you. They get impassioned and they start yelling at the referee, telling them every play that they called wrong or yelling at the players' costly mistakes. And sometimes it's not even with sports. Some people yell at their screens during shows and movies when characters make dumb choices, especially in scary movies when a person goes into a dark house when any sane person should have run. Or think about movie reviews that people post online, giving their opinions about the story or character or directions or any other number of things. It's also become pretty popular for YouTubers to review new music and movies and games and even books online. The bottom line is, we have thoughts about the media that we encounter, and when we discuss that media, whether we do it in writing or speaking, then we're engaging with it. We're digging deep into the film, the book, the game, the song, or whatever, and we are asking questions and we're making decisions about it. When you do this with printed material, it's called annotating, and it typically involves using highlighters and writing notes in the margins of the text. A lot of people do this with religious texts, like the Bible. Many find that they can get a lot more out of the text when they highlight passages and then make their own observations and notes. And it's true. Annotation is an active learning strategy that improves comprehension and retention of information. You can Google it. And this brings us to the learning objective and tasks for this skill lesson. The learning objective is that students will interact with text meaningfully using annotation. This is a skill that you'll be applying to every text that you encounter in this class and hopefully throughout the rest of your high school career. And for those who plan on to go on to college, this is a foundational skill. In our Study Sync program, we have the tools to highlight and make our comments directly on the screen. And the best part is, these notes and highlights will still be there when we do our final writing responses, which can save us a ton of time and frustration from having to reread the story or try to remember important details. But if you prefer the old-fashioned way of using highlighters, pins, and printed texts, I'm more than happy to accommodate you. Okay, here are your tasks. First, if you haven't already, go to tab 1 and watch the concept definition video, and then read the introduction to this skill. Next, complete the vocabulary drag and drop activity to make sure that you understand the basic vocabulary that's being used with this skill. Next, carefully read the model page. This is where you're going to spend most of your time. The top half of the page gives you specific instructions about the skill, and the bottom half shows you a student example. I find the student examples to be extremely useful, so make sure that you're reading everything. And if you aren't grasping this skill, then this would be a good time to stop and ask me for help. Finally, when you feel confident about the skill, then complete the Your Turn tab. In this case, you'll be practicing writing notes about a couple of short passages of text. This isn't a right or wrong activity, and it's not going to affect your grade, but it's a good way for both of us to see how well you're grasping this concept. Hopefully this is pretty straightforward, but I'm happy to help you if you need. Just talk to me.